Good evening. Welcome to ITV News Calendar.
Yes, hello, good evening. Here are tonight's main stories.
Panic at the school gates. This South Yorkshire academy is put on lockdown after 3 people are injured and a teenager is arrested on suspicion of attempted murder.
Really angry because these ambulances going in, they're saying there's nothing wrong. All they do is flogging us off.
I was getting text messages off my daughter saying, I'm being locked in a room, Mum, I'm scared. Someone's screaming outside the room.
A little earlier, police and the head teacher of this school held a press conference to allay the fears of the community and to praise the students here for the way they responded to this incident. I'll have more details on that shortly.
Also tonight, out of Africa, a Leeds couple tell Calendar about their battle to escape devastating floods in Kenya and a deadly predator.
It's literally rising like by the second. We open the door to move and there is quite literally a crocodile or an alligator, don't know the difference, just sat there, obviously trying to stay dry as well on the doorstep.
Not a level playing field. We're at the Batley Sports Club under threat from vandals on quad bikes and 4x4s.
And a stitch in time, we meet the Leeds teenager whose love for fashion and for history has helped her create these incredible period dresses. We start tonight with the stunned community in South Yorkshire where a local school was put on lockdown after 3 people were injured and a teenager arrested on suspicion of attempted murder.
Police and ambulance crews were called to Burley Academy in Sheffield as the school day began following reports of a serious incident involving a sharp object.
Well, parents whose children were locked inside have told Calendar of their shock at what happened. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister said his thoughts were with those involved. Emma Wilkinson has our top story tonight.
Very quickly this morning, a crowd of panicked parents gathered at the school gates. They wanted to know their children were safe. It's understood the school sent out a message reassuring parents and telling them not to attend right away. But many had seen and heard conflicting reports, some directly from their children who were hiding, and they rushed to the school.
Oh my God, my daughter ran straight to school. Got to school, we're not allowed in school because all gates have been locked off, it's been on lockdown. And then I was getting text messages off my daughter saying, I'm being locked in a room, Mum, I'm scared. Someone's screaming outside the room, can I come home? It's been a traumatising day really for us. So.
Emotions were running high at the front gate. Some expressed gratitude for the actions taken by the school to protect their children. But some were frustrated at what they saw as a lack of clear information.
Really angry because these ambulances going in, they're saying there's nothing wrong. All they do is flogging us off.
This afternoon, police called a press conference to explain what had happened.
At 8:50 a.m. this morning, we were called to reports that 3 people had been injured during an incident at Burley Academy. Our officers attended the scene and within minutes of the initial call, we had arrested a 17-year-old boy on suspicion of attempted murder. He remains in police custody. The 3 victims of this incident, 2 adults and a child, suffered minor injuries and were checked over at the scene by colleagues from Yorkshire Ambulance Service.
I want to thank our students for their exemplary behaviour and all of the families and local community for their support. The school will be open tomorrow as usual and we do look forward to seeing our students and families then. Thank you.
Police stayed at the school throughout the day, providing reassurance to a community still coming to terms with what's happened on their doorstep.
It stunned everybody in the community, really. It's not something that you'd think would happen in this area. You know, it's quite a tight-knit community. Everybody gets on so well, and it's such a shock.
This incident comes just 24 hours after a teenager was attacked and killed on his way to school in London. And today the Prime Minister, while paying tribute to him, spoke of the attack here in Sheffield.
And I know that our thoughts are also with those injured this morning in an attack at a school in Sheffield.
This was undoubtedly a traumatic day for children, parents and teachers. But there was relief among many that nobody was more seriously hurt.
It's certainly a shocking event and not the kind of day they were expecting at the school. Emma Wilkinson joins us live from Sheffield now. And Emma, I understand that in the last hour the police have told us a bit more about those who were hurt.
Yes, we now know that 2 women in their 20s suffered minor injuries, and police believe those were caused by broken glass. A child was also assaulted and checked over by Yorkshire Ambulance Service, and it was not apparent that he had any or she had any visible injuries. Now, this was clearly a traumatic event for those involved, and the school, the head teacher, said today that the children had shown extreme bravery, and she praised the way they responded to this incident. She also praised the staff for their professionalism. The Education Secretary said she was in contact with the school, said she was disturbed to hear of what had happened here, and described it as frightening. And it was clear to see in the faces of the parents as they were reunited with their children at the school gates this morning that they were extremely relieved that this situation did not turn out much worse.
Yes, Emma, thank you very much indeed. Emma Wilkinson reporting live there from Sheffield.
In other news, a West Yorkshire police officer has been charged with terror offences. 26-year-old Mohammed Adil, who's based in Calderdale, is accused of 2 counts of publishing an image in support of Hamas in October and November last year. He's currently suspended by West Yorkshire Police and is due to appear in court in London tomorrow.
A man from Leeds who's on holiday in Africa with his girlfriend has spoken of the dramatic moment they had to flee from flash floods sweeping through their accommodation, only to be confronted by a crocodile.
Joseph Hussain and Susie Bigwood thought they'd been enjoying the trip of a lifetime to Kenya, but the country has been devastated by catastrophic seasonal rains, which have claimed more than 170 lives.
Well, now with days more rain forecast, the couple have been airlifted to higher ground and the authorities have ordered a mass evacuation. John Hill reports.
It's a country that's used to weather extremes, but this season's spring rains have decimated huge swathes of Kenya. More than 170 people are dead, villages and farms engulfed. Caught up in the emergency, Joseph from Leeds and his girlfriend Susie, who studied at Leeds University. They'd been staying at a camp when staff raised the alarm.
We get woken up at about 2 a.m. Bangs on the door. Get up now. Get out of our bed, knee-high water.
It was terrifying.
It was so bizarre,
and it was the speed of it as well. It's
literally rising like by the second.
The couple managed to escape to a cabin on higher ground, only for that to start flooding as well. And then they found themselves facing one of the country's most feared predators.
We opened the door to move, and there was quite literally, is it a crocodile or an alligator? I don't know the difference. Just sat there, obviously trying to stay dry as well on the doorstep. So we're now like panicking.
Yeah, trying to look for another way out.
What do we do? All the windows are obviously barred for security reasons. We can't get out that way. So we just had to sort of just like
jump over the crocodile. It was terrifying.
We just had to go for it.
They then found shelter in a water tower along with 18 others evacuated from the camp before finally being rescued by a helicopter. It was only then they could see the true scale of the devastation.
When you're flying over, you saw there was, settlements just decimated, just underwater completely. So it was quite scary.
The place we were staying in is just gone now, absolutely completely gone.
Washed away.
The whole camp flooded.
Tonight, as villagers try to salvage what they can, Joseph and Susie are hoping it won't be long before they reach the Kenyan capital and safety. John Hill, ITV News.
Good to see them looking well. Now then, you're watching Calendar, of course. Thanks very much for being with us this Wednesday evening. And still to come on the programme tonight, Guarding Our Future. Could these robot canines soon be the must-have gadget for the security-conscious householder? Stay tuned to find out more.
And after a murky start first thing this morning, a good dose of warm sunshine across many parts of the region during the middle part of the day. But will it be washing on the line for a third day running tomorrow? Definitely blustery. All the detail a little later on.
But first, in other news tonight, the mother of a boy stabbed to death outside a primary school in Leeds left a courtroom in tears today as the trial of another teenager accused of murdering him draws to a close.
Earlier, in a dramatic day in court, the father of the 15-year-old on trial for killing Alfie Lewis gave evidence about his son. Well, Katie Oscroft has been following the case for us, and clearly a very emotional day for everyone. Katie, what did the defendant's father have to say?
Well, Lara, the boy's father has been sitting next to his son throughout this trial. Today, he crossed the courtroom into the witness box and told the jury how his child, who was 14 at the time, had taken the knife used in this incident from the kitchen at the family home, although he said it was normally used for gardening. Of course, the accusation here is that the boy used it to murder Alfie Lewis and to stab him twice. Well, this evidence from a father about a son served to underline how the defence barrister began his summing up. Nicholas Lumley, Casey, said, "Here we are talking about two children. One is dead, the other is sitting in court, surrounded by guards." He said the defendant never intended to kill Alfie Lewis.
And what have the jury heard from the prosecution today?
Yes, well, Craig Hassel, Casey, described how the prosecution believe that the fatal wound was inflicted on Alfie Lewis, and he raised his arm to demonstrate what he meant, and it was at this point that Alfie Lewis's mother left the courtroom in tears. Alfie Lewis's family have been here every day throughout this distressing trial, as too have both parents of the 15-year-old boy who denies murder. Well, the judge, Mr. Justice Carter, will finish his summing up tomorrow, and then after 2 weeks of evidence, he will send the jury out to consider its verdict.
Thank you very much, Katie, from Leeds Crown Court.
Well, now to the junior football club that says vandals who tore up a series of pitches in Batley have put at risk a community event that brings together thousands of people.
Mount Pleasant juniors play and train at Hurstlands Park every week, but antisocial drivers have put its fields out of action for the foreseeable future. Now, police are appealing to witnesses after the incident earlier this month, as Jonathan Brown reports.
These pitches are normally a hive of footballing activity, with up to 500 children kicking off here every weekend. But most games have had to be moved or cancelled for one big reason.
My ankle nearly went twice there. There's no way you can get these kids playing here.
Vandals have left their mark on a series of pitches at Hurstlands Park in Batley, where volunteers host games for Mount Pleasant Juniors Football Club.
The damage is just the whole of the playing area. And it's either quad bikes, or we've had an inspector out who thinks it might have been a 4x4. And just disheartening, having to tell the children that they can't train.
Thank you for attending.
It's not just the upcoming matches that are affected though. The club's annual gala on June the 9th draws thousands of residents and hundreds of young footballers together. But they've been told it could be called off if bad weather continues to prevent council repairs.
It'd be disastrous because everybody looks forward to it, and many of the children that play in that community event don't actually play organised affiliated football.
In the meantime, only a small corner of the green space is safe to play on, meaning upheaval for parents like Hussein, who played for the club as a child himself before becoming a volunteer in fatherhood.
The club itself means a lot. It might be the only thing to do on a weekend, get out of the house and get some fresh air and kick a ball around, get some exercise.
What do you like about football?
Shooting and tackling. Slide tackling.
West Yorkshire Police says it's aware of reports of antisocial behaviour at the park and said in a statement, "We operate regular off-road bike patrols to tackle antisocial off-road riding as part of Operation Task Abbey, and we have added Hurstlands Park to our patrol plans." For people here, the weeks ahead will mean watching the weather as much as the football. The goal for them to bring people together through sport, despite the best efforts of those who've tried to ruin it. Jonathan Brown, ITV News, Batley.
Yeah, shocking pictures there. Now then, if you mention the security industry, you might picture CCTV cameras or bouncers on pub doorways.
But not enough new recruits are coming forward to work in the industry, especially around engineering and technology.
So as companies from our region travel to the industry's biggest trade show, not only are they trying to sell their products, they're also looking for new talent to work for them, as James Webster reports.
You're never very far from a CCTV camera. Just one example of how technology has expanded the security industry. An industry which is using its biggest trade show to highlight the skills shortage it's facing, with a need for thousands of extra workers.
There is a very wide skills gap at the moment within the industry. Many people will think when you say security, a frontline officer role. However, there are varied roles. There are roles within cyber, there are analyst roles, there's intelligence roles. There really is something for every skill set within the security industry. It's finding that.
They're hoping young people with backgrounds in engineering and technology will come to this event.
There are more than 400 exhibitors here and more than 14,000 industry professionals from companies from right across Europe, many of them showing off the latest technology and innovations.
Among the companies from Yorkshire at the show, professional security based in Sturton in Leeds, who specialise in technology designed to keep security guards safe from being attacked.
We're in the 21st century, we need to embrace technology. A lot of the technology you would see an officer with benefits them in a variety of different ways. Body-worn cameras reduce verbal abuse, radios for quick and easy communication. Simple high-vis, is a visual deterrent and a visual presence. It highlights that people are there.
These robotic dogs are an example of some of the most sophisticated technology that's already being used in security. They can be sent into places too dangerous for humans, and university researchers are studying how people interact with them.
They are for things like inspection, maintenance and search and rescue. They're such a good tool for engaging people and getting people interested, not just robotics, but artificial intelligence.
From physical barriers to more high-tech solutions, the security industry hopes it's demonstrated the range of roles available for people with the skills to make a career in keeping buildings and people safe. James Webster, ITV News.
Now, it's been the final day of campaigning for candidates in tomorrow's local elections, including those standing for mayor in North, West and South Yorkshire. Thousands of you will head out to the polls to cast your votes. Remember, they'll be open from 7 a.m. tomorrow, and you now need to take a form of ID, photo ID in fact, to be able to vote. You can see a full list of the candidates from across the region on our website at itv.com/calendar.
Yes, so let's move on to our next story. And by their very nature, funerals are sad events, but many people take comfort in the beautiful flowers that are often sent from many loved ones. However, some of the floristry foam and plastic wrapping that comes with them can be very bad for the environment.
So could there be a way of making floral displays more environmentally friendly? More than 100 florists have signed up to a new initiative that it's hoped will make a big difference. Lauren Hall reports.
Many cultures use flowers at funerals, a tribute to the person who's died and a source of comfort to those left behind.
The problem is, what happens to those floral displays after the funeral? The flowers fade and the foliage wilts away, but other materials are left behind. The plastic and floristry foam, which aren't biodegradable, and they end up filling our crematoriums, our cemeteries and our churchyards.
It's a real issue for the industry, and time has to be spent clearing it all up before sending to landfill.
It's lovely to have these personal displays at funerals, and they give comfort to the families that are attending these funerals and the families of the bereaved. But there's another way to do it, and I think we need to start thinking a little bit about how we can still have these displays, but make it more environmentally friendly.
Kate Fox is doing just that. She's a flower farmer based in Oxspring near Sheffield. The floral displays she makes for funerals are always environmentally friendly.
Those flowers really are a pure act. So since the beginning of time, people have left a posy on graves. And I think we have come to a place where that pure act has now has a legacy of plastic pollution, which is unnecessary. So I think to return to that sort of complete arc of sustainability and regeneration is important.
She's now part of something called the Farewell Flowers Directory. It's a network of like-minded florists who can be contacted by anyone planning a funeral.
We want to promote compostable funeral flowers as a more natural alternative to the floral foam-based tributes which pop into people's heads whenever they think about funeral flowers.
People can have things like this, something that resonates with the person that's just gone.
We want to make it easy for people to find funeral flowers that they'll love. We don't want them to have to go hunting high and low. We want it to make it simple for them to access them.
It's not something people talk about, sadly. Nobody discusses this. We'd like people to talk about it.
They want to start a conversation and hope by doing so, people will realise they can choose funeral flowers that honour their loved one and the environment. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
They're really beautiful, those flowers. I like
Yeah,
those.
certainly something to think about. Now then, Kerry is with us. How are things looking, Kerry?
Well, it was really nice again today across most parts of the region. I mean, yesterday was the stonker to end the month of April, wasn't it? It got to 20 degrees yesterday.
Great.
But we reached a 19 in Bramham today, but very different along the coast. It was only 13 at Scarborough this afternoon, and that was due to sea fret. And we've got a similar situation as we head into tomorrow. We've actually got low pressure in charge or nearby to the south and east of the UK. It's spiralling in that warm air. But tomorrow, starting really from tonight, that warm air is crossing a fairly long stretch of pretty cool North Sea, which is only about 8 or 9 Celsius at the moment. So it pretty much traps that cold air over the area of warm air, and it creates quite a lot of moisture. So a lot of low cloud expected out towards the coast, especially tomorrow, and temperatures even into the afternoon could struggle very similar to today. What we have got, though, is an increase in the strength of the wind, so that northeasterly might break up the cloud a little bit during the afternoon, but it also might catch you out because we've got a high UV. I think that's the highest I've talked about certainly during the course of this spring, 6. We don't get much higher than 8, so it's a real sunburn risk as we head into tomorrow. Of course, if it feels warm, we slap on the sun cream, but if you don't notice it with the cloud and the wind, then yeah, that's when you really need to pop it on, even if it doesn't feel like it.
We know it's the merry month of May already.
I
They
know
call it that,
already.
don't
We're
they?
there already, aren't we? So we've talked about it a lot, haven't we, last week, because it was quite cloudy. So I won't dwell on it, but it has been wet and dull. Fylingdale's had nearly twice as much rainfall. I think for the UK as a whole, it's been the wettest April since 2012, and Sheffield only had 73%. This looks complicated, this graph, but it just shows you that we were well above average in terms of temperatures for the first half of the month until the 14th, but well below until the second half, I should say. So very topsy-turvy, which meant that we ended up being average by the end of the month. Yeah, something
Great. See you for the forecast shortly.
You will indeed, of course.
Thank you. Now, finally tonight, it's fair to say that many teenage girls obsess about the latest comings and goings in the fashion world. Some TV presenters do too, but not so Eleanor Shendry from Leeds, whose tastes go back a little further.
Yes, 16-year-old Eleanor has made hundreds of stunning period dresses from reused fabric or material that she sources from charity shops. And if she's not sewing, well, she's modelling her work at stately homes and castles. She's inspirational, as Sarah Clark reports.
It's daydreams and straight seams for historic dressmaker Eleanor Shendry. Since lockdown, the young seamstress has created over 300 period costumes.
My grandma was a textiles and art teacher, and she taught me how to sew when I was 8 years old. And so I think that my love of history combined with my love of sewing has just kind of evolved. I definitely say the Regency period is one of my favourite eras to make from, just because I think the simplicity just is so elegant.
The 18-year-old's imaginative designs are a mix of old-fashioned grandeur and sustainable fabrics.
So this dress, it's made in 2 pieces. There's sort of an open robe style overdress, which can come undone. So that was from some fabric, which was, I think it was a dead stock fabric, which means they're no longer making it. So it's just kind of the end of it, and it's just made out of a velvet. And the underdress is made out of some curtains that I found in a charity shop.
Once the last thread is sewn, she loves nothing more than to model her handcrafted floor-length gowns.
I try and wear them as much as I can and visit places like stately homes and castles, so I am genuinely very interested in the history of there. So if I'm going anywhere, I may as well go dressed up and just kind of get myself more immersed in the history.
Eleanor uses her hobby to help educate through social media.
I really think it has sparked this interest with history and with historical clothing. Often this kind of visual reminder of history is something that maybe you don't get at school, maybe you don't get in lessons. I did a series a few years ago where I dressed as different Queens of England, and throughout that I tried to kind of put a little bit of information about the woman, say probably someone that most people have never heard of, just so that people can learn their stories. And I think that that's something that's so important, is just communicating this history visually as well.
Eleanor hopes in threading the way, others may follow, sharing her love of history and fashion for years to come. Sarah Clark, ITV News.
Brilliant.
Beautiful. It's so good to hear a teenager doing so
And all
well.
I hear, viewers, by the way, all day long in the office from all the ladies is, oh, I like your dress, Lara, I like your dress, Lara.
Yeah, you're just jealous. Here's Kerry. She's got a lovely dress too.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again. Yes, it was a murky start for many first thing this morning. Quite a lot of low cloud around, although thinning and lifting and giving us a decent dose of sunshine for many parts of the region. It was gorgeous in Malham, says Paul Kirby. The cows were cooling off in the water. Keep the photos coming, weather photos at itv.com. So yes, most of the rain pushing northwards first thing this morning. It has been a mostly dry day, but the cloud coming and going. And as we head deeper into this evening and overnight tonight, we do look to that northeasterly flow off the North Sea, gathering quite a lot of moisture and bringing it inland. So again, a mostly dry but relatively cloudy night overnight tonight, and that will keep the temperatures well up to around 8 to 10 Celsius. So as we head into tomorrow, not quite as pretty as mixed photo here of Scarborough. There are Eastern Times for Thursday, 5:27 and 8:40. Don't be too disappointed with the morning low cloud, mist and murk. We are expecting it to lift and thin throughout the day, especially towards late afternoon, early evening. But you can see in the south, as the temperatures pop up with the warm sunshine inland, we could, in parts of South Yorkshire and North East Derbyshire, see some heavy and possibly thundery showers. And a big difference directly at the coast, where we get that lingering low cloud, because it will be breezy and temperatures will be suppressed. As we head to the latter part of the week on Friday, it is more unsettled. We look to the southeast for an area of low pressure. It will bring cloudier skies, slightly cooler temperatures and outbreaks of rain, at least for a time. And then as we head towards the weekend at this stage, it does look like Saturday is the mainly dry and brighter day. Sunday, Monday, showery, but temperatures nothing too cold.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
There you go. With that breeze tomorrow, most places could probably get a load on the line, I reckon, yeah.
A bit cooler then tomorrow?
Just fresher. It'll feel a little fresher in the breeze.
Okay, still nice.
Get your washing out.
Yeah. Thanks very much for watching.
Yeah, we'll
Aris
see you again
back
tomorrow.
later on. Bye-bye.
Yeah, good night.
Bye.